The Hash It Out Show is brought to you by Barreto Home Solutions, Bayou Audio and Video, Hot Works on the North Shore, JFK Martial Arts in Mandeville and Covington, Black Hawk Hauling, Lil Dizzy's Cafe, Wags Food and Culture, Moe's Pizza, The Green Law Firm, Personal Injury Attorney, Drums Earwear.
Hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move, 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 move. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. 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 Hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move, 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 move. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hash It Out Show. I am your host, JB, the Sports Guy. We got a good show for you all tonight. We got the one and only Kelsey Nelson joining us. We're going to talk about sports in general, maybe some women's sports with her. And at 8:15, we have the one and only Eric Asher joining us. We're talking about the NFL draft and the New Orleans Saints. I'm joined by my good friend that you can catch on CrescentCitySports.com, the one and only Mr. VK Jones. What's up, VK?
What's going on, man? Like, tag, share, and subscribe to the Hash It Out Show on all social media platforms. And log on to the hashitoutShow.com for all the content you need and all that good stuff. We definitely appreciate it. We got a great show tonight. We got NFL draft stuff, NBA playoffs, all kind of stuff going on tonight. And then tomorrow we got some baseball for you. So let's get it going.
Let's get it going. Our guest tonight, she is a sports award winning broadcast journalist. She is the host of Listen In with KNN. We have the one, the only Kelsey Nelson. Kelsey, how are you doing? And thank you for joining us.
Hi, fellas. Thank you so much for having me. I am doing fantastic on this Tuesday. Playoff basketball, good weather here in the DMV. No complaints from me.
I know that's right. Kelsey, tell us a little bit about your show, Listen In with KNN, and also other things that you do.
Yeah, so I'm actually wearing one of my merchandise pieces, one of my cool jackets from my show. So listening with KNN is a podcast. I can't believe I started 7 years ago. It was
Wow.
essentially just to give myself a voice, and it's really evolved. I have 2 internship programs, a digital media and communications internship program, so working with a lot of students in colleges right now, and a HBCU internship program. So it's been so fun to grow my team. I've had an amazing team of my voiceover artist, Mike Lyle, who does such great work for me, and again, just my amazing interns. But it's fun. It's a sports talk podcast show. Video version, we do a live stream version. It's partnered with Fox Sports Radio, and I get to control it, which is the best part. Founder, host, executive producer, and we talk anything in the sports world. So like this week, just taped an episode right before getting on with you guys. There's a cool event coming here to DC in May from the Advancement of Blacks in Sports group. So I had Gary Charles on, and he has worked with guys like LeBron and Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, just an amazing resume. He's coming on, and then I have Christopher Okoye's nephew coming on Friday to the live stream show. So, of course, we remember the Nigerian Nightmare. His nephew actually played in the NFL, played in the USFL. So it's been kind of just cool. So it's been a blast. I do that. I teach. So this is my last week of classes at George Washington. So if I look tired, that's why. 8 a.m. classes are not a joke. I have a lot of grading to do, but GW has been amazing. Launching the first sports writing class next semester in the fall. So also prepping for that, which should be a lot of fun. Glad the class is sold out. And then I do a bunch of freelance work. So people will call me. I'll come talk on their shows. I've been Peacock and NBC, Brother from Another, of course, joining guys like you all. I do a lot of radio here in DC, Baltimore area, 1057. It goes on and on and on. So essentially, I talk sports for a living. It's a blast. I'm living out my dream and teaching the next generation. So I really can't complain.
Yes, you are very, very busy. I want to start with women's sports. So
Yeah.
it's said that women's sports will make over $1 billion this year, which
I
is
love it.
a 300% increase from 2021.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about this? I know you just said you love it and you're excited about it. What are your thoughts?
This is the moment I think so many of us have been waiting for. I played sports and I've covered women's sports since the beginning. And, I know what it is to be in an arena with a few, and to now know that few have become many and that many have become a mass. I think it's a really exciting time for women's sports. I think, finally women are getting the fair share of flowers that they've deserved, whether it was the U.S. women's soccer team fighting for fair pay, and getting that, or whether it's all of us that watched the WNBA draft and helped to set new records, right? Or the Final Four and the championship games. So I think right now, or whether it's LSU's gymnastics team, right? It's incredible, to watch. One of my favorite athletes growing up, was Dominique Dawes. Did gymnastics until they kicked me out because I was too tall. But all that to say, it's been amazing, watching people like her. And then I grew up going to Mystics games, so watching people like, Lena Beard and Coco Miller, and just to see how the game has evolved for women. It's exciting, and I'm so excited for young women now, and to be able to be implanted in this, and rest in peace to Gigi Bryant, because also my
Yes.
thoughts can only imagine what she would have been able, to contribute where she's still here today. So all in all, I love it. If you're late to the party, I'm sorry you've missed a lot of it, but I'm glad you're here now. And it's a fun time. So I hope it's been so fun to have literally people hit me up more than ever now. Kelsey, you have a plug for the Mystics game? No, I don't have the plug. You're going to have to buy some tickets and contribute to the growth of women's sports. But, I love that the hottest ticket in town now revolves around people that look like me and women. So it's been fun, especially the growth of Black women in sports. I think really getting their flowers, like Asia Wilson, and she needs that shoe deal.
Yes.
Nice if you're listening. But just so many things. Dawn Staley and what she's represented for the game. I think too, it's been amazing to see the evolution and continued success, honestly, of Black women. But again, making sure that they get their flowers. So it's been fun to watch and be part of, and it keeps me busy and it keeps me with a job.
Yes, that is correct. We saw Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark become stars in college basketball, and now they've been drafted in the WNBA, which had 2.5 million viewers for the draft, which is a record, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
My question to you is, with these stars now leaving college basketball and going into the WNBA, do you think the WNBA ratings are now going to rise with these stars?
The easy answer is yes. Build it and they will come. And I think now we live in an age where people follow their favorite stars, right? It used to be like you had a favorite team and whoever's on that team you rode for. Now you ride for whoever your favorite is, right? And so I think, look at what Caitlin Clark has built, Angel Reese, Maryland girl like myself, what she's built and her merchandise. We're already seeing it, right? We're already seeing sellouts. Dallas Wings just now a sellout for the preseason game, which we haven't really seen in WNBA history, which I think is exciting. And I think for the WNBA, that's what they've needed, to be able to capitalize on this growth and momentum, right? Because you'd want it to keep building and not to stop. And then, I think the most beautiful thing about them this year's draft class is that they've also left the baton in good hands. Paige Beckers was just trending, the other day, and Juju and what she brings. There's so many stars. Everybody wants to know what Deja Kelly's going to do. There's so many stars in the game right now. It's just been really fun to watch, and see, what it's going to evolve to. So all in all to say, I hope everyone's watching WNBA games. I hope y'all are like we're watching the playoffs now. We need watch parties. I want it to be in the group chat, fellas. I want it to be talked about at the barbershops. But this really is what's happening. I've literally, just heard men talking about the barbershop talk today, is Caitlin Clark the greatest shooter? And I love that these have evolved, into everyday conversations. And the WNBA, when you think about it, a young league, right, entering 20th season, this is the right trajectory for them, I think, again, for long-term success. And really perfect timing with the WNBA expansion that we know is going to hopefully continue to grow.
I've had this conversation with VK before in regards to about how the ladies must stay in college for 4 years and the guys are having one and done. Would you agree that with the ladies having to stay in college to play 4 years helps make them or helps make the college game have more stars than the men's college basketball?
You know, it's interesting, right? Because we've seen guys come out early and not always evolve, right, in the NBA. Of course, you
Correct.
do have your stars. You know, and I'm talking like from different perspectives. Of course, I want the women to have the same as the men, especially now, like you see the stars. But, you know, I think right now, NIL has changed it. You know, I think if we had this conversation pre-name, image, and likeness, it's a whole different conversation we're having now. But to me now, if I'm in college, I'm getting the bag my 4 years while I'm there. I mean, look at you guys, Caitlin Clark was worth $3 million in college,
Yes.
valued at $3 million, right? Angel Reese at about $1.9 million in college. And so, you know, why rush the process? I think, you know, college is a great way to continue to evolve and develop. The college game is huge. March Madness is huge. So I think, yeah, ladies could have the option. Of course, it's a little bit different with the WNBA. Because remember, I think people don't realize, again, how competitive the WNBA is. Like, we're all cheering for these girls, you know, getting drafted. Again, they have to make their teams, everybody. There's
Mm-hmm.
144 spots. And you got to make, you know, it's a tough league. It is a very tough league. And it's very, again, there's only so much space. You're competing against veterans, women who have played overseas, as like you said, women who have came out, you know, and played the college game for a long time. So all that to say, you know, I don't think the rush is as verse. But again, I'm all for, you know, for women being able to have that option. Like I think NIL has completely, why rush out now? I mean,
Right.
everybody's trying to get money now. And I think it's good for college. And also I'm an educator, right? So I want people to get their degree and, you know, get or at least get as close to that as they can, just so of course they have something to fall back on in the future. Because I've done the broke athlete story for both men and women. And usually what changes that is the people who have the degree, right? Or some type of, you know, some type of other outlet than just the sport. So I think that's what's also exciting, you know, about staying in college. And I mean, on the men's and women's side, right? Like Zach
Yes.
Edey, I know he just declared for the NBA draft. I think about how his game has evolved, right? You know, just watching him. And again, now he's like a household name. And then in the women's game, folks, none of y'all were talking about Caitlin Clark her freshman year. Her game has been able to evolve in college. Y'all didn't start talking about Caitlin until this whole "you can't see me" John Cena thing really happened, right? All that to
Yes.
say though, like, I mean, her staying in college, I think really obviously helped her develop. I know she'll probably, you know, credit Coach Lisa for helping with that. But there is a place, I think, for college athletics and for women to really grow their skill set and men to be the best players that they can be.
Before I pass it on to VK, we've seen women's sports elevate to a new level, but is there anything or any change that must happen for women's sports to be taken more seriously, just like the men's sports?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is on all of us, right? Like when you make a men's bracket, also make that women's bracket. And I used to live for former President Barack Obama's brackets because obviously a huge sports fan. Make sure you're going and supporting the games. Like I went to University of Maryland. I was at the men's and women's games, you know, in college. So honestly, I think the onus. I mean, the product is there. The product is there. It's what you're going to do with the product. I want to see colleges and universities investing in marketing and communications teams and athletic departments. You know, how are you going to how are you honestly the women are if you think about it too, what's interesting about the women's game, women are actually kind of have dominated the NIL market. They
Yeah.
have dominated the NIL market. So now how can colleges and universities, you know, really capitalize on that market? And I think that's going to be up to the schools to see, all right, you know, someone like Angel Reese who already has 1 million followers, you know, how does LSU capitalize on that? I think LSU actually did a really good job, you know, with their invest in your social teams. We know that's where people are now, you know, make sure that these teams are well represented on social media. But again, I think the biggest thing is how are you going to support the games, whether it's watching the games, whether it's going to a game. I mean, I still remember going to when Angel Reese and LSU came back to play Coppin State here, how electric it was and how cool it was to see a line going around the athletic building, right? Of fans just so excited to see the Bayou Barbie in person back home in her hometown. But don't only be there for when she returns, be there for all the games on the schedule, right? Be there for the preseason schedule. Whenever they're doing community events, I think the biggest thing is all of us just supporting as much as we can. And again, please pay for the tickets. You know, it supports the athletes. It shows them again that people care. And then again, you're helping to create that pipeline when other young girls can see, you know, what they can attain to be and the support that they'll hopefully get on the next level. So I think it's somewhat happening, but I think there's a lot of schools that could do better pushing and promoting. And I'm not just talking about the women's basketball teams. I'm talking about all women's sports teams, right?
Yes.
All women. Like here, I know at Howard University, they have an amazing woman. They have their golf women's team is amazing. The swim team, amazing. You know, and I think Howard does a great job pushing all of that. But it's like all schools, you know, need to be able to do that because people only know what they see. People only know what they see. Most people aren't going to be searching and digging up stuff. They only know what they see. So as much as you can, push it in their face. I want to see it on the train, at the metro. I want to see it at the bus stop. I want to see it everywhere. So people just can't get enough of it.
VK.
Kelsey, man, Kelsey, I tell you, thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
accepting our invitation and everything to be on the show. I've been keeping up with your work for years and everything else. You have
Thank
done
you.
some wonderful work
Thank
and
you.
continue to do what you're doing. And I want to ask you this first question off the bat. The way yourself and other girls like, you know, Tiffany Green and uh Renee, I forgot her last name. She's really, really good. Um
Washington, yeah.
Renee Washington, and other women who's been breaking down doors and everything, and how it is that, you know, opportunities continue opening up for y'all. But do you think the opportunities y'all getting and y'all continue to thrive will help more African American men thrive more in the business? Because, you know, there's a lot more women breaking through, and we love it, but some of us brothers trying to break through too, you know.
Yeah. This is what I love about working in sports. It's really a place where I think everybody can win. Or as we say in DC, we miss Bradley Bill here, but he always used to say everybody eats. And I think the beautiful thing about it, like a lot of my opportunities, you said, a lot of my opportunities have honestly come from Black men believing in me, right, and giving me an opportunity and shot. And that does not go astray from me. And I think it's the same thing. It's reaching back and giving back. That's part of the reason, honestly, why I teach now, right? It's not because I just love waking up, at 5 a.m. and then teaching an 8 a.m. class. It's because I really want to make sure I'm investing in the next generation and future. And so I think the biggest thing is you have to be able to put people on. We have to stop this mentality that like it could only be me, or let me not help this person because I'm scared they're going to take my opportunity. Like if you see something, let me shout out Rob Parker, in this new radio station that he started, in Detroit, and giving people an opportunity. I love that. I love that. And I think it's so important. LaChina Robinson has a great program. I know it's for young girls, but still, I think these are the type of things that need to be invested in. One of my mentors is James Brown, right? Again, a Black man who obviously has reached like the height and pinnacle of success and continues to just be an amazing gatekeeper. But I think you're right. I think it's all of us looking out for each other. It's looking out for each other because at the end of the day, Black men or Black women, we know we're trying to break through an industry that does not have enough of us, right? That's why I'm super involved. And I think both of you guys might be involved in it with NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. I'm also involved in the local level here. But how can we pass and spread these opportunities? Like for me, a lot of my mentees are actually young Black males, right? That I'm trying to get into the industry. And, I love that they trust me, for that. They're amazing talents, right? And it's all about the opportunity. We know there's not enough opportunities to go around. So when we hear one, one of the things I love, my NABJ group chat, whenever there's an opportunity, it's posted in there, right? Because we want somebody, hopefully one of us, to get the jobs. I'm in another group, Minorities in Sports, same thing. The event I talked about coming up, the advancement of Blacks in sports, again, another great opportunity. I'm working on a panel workshop now, finding men and women, to be on that. Because it's going to be a great opportunity, right? For people to come together. So I do think, but I will say this, I know it seems like Black women are, and I think it's because we're watching ESPN and stuff like that. So yes, there have been strides, but there's still a lot of women who are not getting opportunities. Like I can't tell you guys enough. You guys know this. I do sports talk radio in New Orleans. There's very few Black women that are doing sports talk radio. It's very small. And I think what's harder now too is it's a small crop, because if you're not a former athlete, it's an even harder way, right, to get in. Like I'm not a former, all-star college athlete. So I think our paths are going to be different. But I think at the end of the day, look, we all, like Glorilla said, at the end of the day is going to end. But when that day ends, I want all of us to be winning. I think that's the biggest thing. And so how do we do that together? So the biggest thing is spreading and sharing opportunity, networking, doing things like this, getting to know one another. And like me, if I see something, I'm always going to send it to somebody that I know, or because I want them to have that opportunity, because we weren't born with those kind of connections that other people were kind of afforded to. So how do we build that pipeline? I think that's what it's about, building that pipeline again of both men and women to get opportunities. But I will say, I can't tell you enough again how many people that look like me have helped me, and it means so much to me. And again, that's why I believe strongly we stand on the shoulders of giants, to whom much is given, much is required. And that's why it's big for me now to turn around and do that same thing. My biggest thing is lift as you climb. Lift as you climb. So as you continue to climb the ranks, you have to lift others up. And I don't care if y'all man, woman, whatever you identify as, I'm gonna lift you up. If you trust me and you'll ride with me, I'm gonna do all that I can in my power and use my network, right? Use my network to hopefully also help to lift up. So I think it's happening. It's probably, I think the hardest thing is nothing happens usually when you want it to happen. I think it's the hardest thing. But just know if you keep consistent, I think that's the biggest thing. Keep consistent. All the names that you named, all of those women have been consistent in their product. And I think they've been able to thus reap the benefit. So know somebody's always watching. I mean, a lot of my opportunities have honestly come from random people on social media, like looking at my stuff. Did not even know they knew me, right? But then we connect, especially a lot of the hosting gigs that I do. And next thing I know, right, that's an opportunity that we have. And then people ask me, hey, do you know anybody else who does this? Give them names. Give them names. Again, there's room for all of us to be at that table and for all of us to eat and eat well, and continue to grow that table.
I definitely appreciate that, and hopefully we will network with one another and everything else.
Yes.
Rod,
Sure.
Rod Parker, I actually met him years and years ago,
Look at
and
that. See, that's
one of
awesome.
the one of the wild, I can say this, one of the wildest dudes in sports, in talks in sports talk and everything else. I'm saying that because in
Hilarious.
respect of him, and
Yeah.
there's some people I know personally don't really like him. So it's
Mhm.
he does some wild things, but still he's very respectable. He's done his time, and I give him a lot of props for him trying to really advance what he has to do, especially to try to help other people. So
Yeah. I mean, look at
hopefully.
his MLB bro site. Again, I work on
Mhm.
that. I do baseball with him. It's one of the only staff, I think, one of the only staffs I've ever worked for where it's all people that look like me on staff. That's a beautiful thing. Again, that's an anomaly. He's giving people opportunity, and helping honestly people to break into a field, people that look like us, into a sport that we definitely know there's not enough people that look like us covering baseball, right? And it's a shame. But I think what he's been able to do is beautiful. And that's a good thing about now. You can build something, right? I mean, you don't need to wait for a media company to give you a job. I built my podcast. They came to me after I started to grow. You guys have this show. People will come to you, right? So that's
Right.
the beautiful thing about it. You don't necessarily have to wait, for one of the big letter companies to call you. Again, build it and they will come. I think that's the biggest thing that we all have to remember.
I think that's the progress we made. Where this is our almost close to third year
Awesome.
being together with our podcast, and we
Oh,
have
that's
grown
awesome.
doing.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. We've done high school football. We did a little expansion with that last year,
Yeah.
and we had a lot of people working with us with that. We're hopefully they got a new sports radio station in New Orleans that we're going to try and break into that. That's something in the
Fingers
works.
crossed for y'all.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. So
Fair.
we're working on things, but Jared, he's learning more in the business. I'm like the veteran in the business. I've been in the business for 18 years, and and
Amazing.
and and not just that, with an associate's degree, and not too long ago, bachelor's. So it's almost like
Nice. Look
now
at
it's like
you. Backing them
you know
up. I love it.
absolutely. So it's a blessing in itself, and I had to break into things because I'm one of the few brothers that covers college baseball because I called some
Hmm.
games for junior college baseball for a
Nice.
couple of teams in Louisiana, and I did a couple of we did a couple of interviews with college baseball coaches.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's the hot sport because he had to
Yeah.
learn it from last year, and when he realized the audience came so much with the different coaches, and I said, I told you, I said this outside of basketball and football, high school football, college baseball is the hot sport down
It's
here.
big. I covered
You know,
college baseball when I was at Maryland. I don't think people talk about it enough. And like you said, there's not enough people, unfortunately, that look like you or me doing it. But I think that's what people have to realize. If you really want to break into something, you can't be comfortable. And you need to do something different. Like for me, one of my best things I ever did was working for NASCAR because there wasn't many people that looked like me that worked for NASCAR. And the fact that you're doing baseball, I think that's another testament and example. And we know baseball is trying to get better at that. So I love that you're doing. And don't underrate college sports. Don't underrate high school sports. I started in high school sports. I still love going to high school sports when I can. So that's the talent, right? And that's when you really get to see people evolve and develop. I got to meet Dwayne Haskins when he was in high school. May he rest in peace. And of course, seeing that game evolve and develop. So, and that was one of my best interviews, right? That people saw. And so don't ever underestimate, who, you never know who the next. And of course, at that time, I knew he was a great player. Did not know, obviously, he was going to go on to do what he did. But it's an amazing thing. And I don't think people take it for granted. That's what I'm pushing my students. Like, you can start covering sports right now on campus, build your reel that way. And then again, like you said, there's crowd and audience for it. And then there you go. Your brand is growing because people are there. They want to see you. They're going to get used to you. And then you'll be able to kind of put your own twist on things.
Looks like I might have to send you some of my stuff, but it is what it is. We can go ahead on, but at the same time, it's a privilege that you're here. I want to ask you this. Going into what the WNBA was going on and everything else, are we soon? Because we looked at the salaries and everything else. I've seen an interview with Angel McCautry, and she has been doing some serious work on and off the court.
Yeah.
And she's talking about how the salaries need to match up a little bit, not just to where NBA standards, but almost close to it, that we can have players making over $1 million and everything else instead of players going overseas and making the money and playing all year. Are we going to get close to possibly having $1 million contracts for these players? Because you have to think the collective bargaining agreement is going to end soon, but not just that, you got all these networks that are knocking on the door, including streaming services.
Yeah, you just said it. The money has to pour in, right? You can't pay what you don't have. Let's remember there was a football league not too long ago that was defunct, that's now back and has merged, but they were spending out more than they were getting back. You do not want to make that mistake. So I think all that to say, you said it, the network money has to come in. How do most sports leagues make money? Big network contracts. That's huge. So the fact that the WNBA already has more national games, right, this coming season is a positive step in the right direction. You said the other big thing, people have to understand what the CBA is and what it does, and again, what you can put into it. So the WNBA has had strides in the CBA, right? We've seen strides in childcare. Remember, these are female athletes, right? And being able to get assistance with that. It has went up. I know for folks that are new to this, they're like, it's so low. Well, it was lower than that before, folks. So it has grown. And then remember too, I think people forget, like, the WNBA season, you're playing for about 4 months of basketball, right? So summer league, not saying that, but just saying, they're paying obviously for those couple of months. I think, yes, I think it will get to that point. But I think, again, it's a newer league. They have to build that. They need the investors. And I think they actually need owners, again, that really do care about the game. I don't want you to just be an owner and you just happen to inherit it, right? Because you bought this team. You have to actually love the women's game, I think, to really invest in the women's game. But I think right now it's on the right trajectory. But people have to put their money where their mouth is, honestly. Like, the league has had, last year there was great sponsorship deals. Hopefully this year it continues to grow. You all buying those tickets out there to see these games, that also, of course, helps, with the revenue. But it's going to be, honestly, a lot of the money comes from the C-suite, right? So big corporations, buying into these leagues. And so I think with the WNBA, hopefully, they're upping, what sponsors can have and opportunities. Hopefully we're upping that sponsorship packet. I do think it's on the trajectory, but I don't think the $1 million is going to come anytime soon. It's gonna, hopefully it's in our lifetime, right? But it's not gonna, because it takes time to get to that point, right? I mean, the NBA, we can see why they're able to offer that. Look how much they bring in. I mean, there's a reason we're watching the game now on TNT, right? Like, there's big money behind that. So I think the WNBA, I think right now we're kind of seeing the pebbles fall off the rock. We're just seeing the beginning. We're not ready to knock down that mountain just yet. The pebbles are falling, but still we're making that dent. It's still not ready to fall just yet. So it's going to come. I know, but I will say, I know some people have been complaining that they hate that people are just now finding out about the salaries. I do love that there's attention on this, because I think when the attention's on it, it does force us to have these conversations. And when we're having these conversations, it probably means they're also going to be having those conversations in the league office. So, I mean, it means that, they can't, it's not hidden, right? The salaries are out there. But I think too, people have to remember that these women are going to be making money in different ways, right? So from their own spot. Caitlin Clark has her own, you guys saw the deal with Nike. I mean, Caitlin Clark is going to be just fine, folks. Like, she's sleeping just fine. Like, she's cool. She's waking up just like us, happy, perky. And so a lot of I think the problem is though, of course, the non kind of star athletes, right, that we're not talking about. Those are the women, right, that I'm more worried about, and what we can do to help them, with the salary. But do remember, they get the salary, you get the apartment, access to a car. So there are other things that the league has tried to offer, but again, they can't offer what they don't have yet. And just now we're seeing this kind of new resurgence of people kind of, coming to the WNBA and really wanting to support women's basketball. But I hope it's soon. But I just know, again, it takes time. It takes time to get to that point. So, my goal would be, get it up to, let's increase 20%. I would like to see each CBA, at least how much more can we increase it with what's being brought in. Again, do not overspend on what you don't have, because we want the league to be around a very long time.
And now on the men's side, talking about NIL and everything else, with that going, do you think now with college basketball, do you think they need to put at least a 2-year, more of a 2-year type of contract or whatever, that a player can be there for 2 years and they can leave, especially with the NIL now, because this one and done is done for.
It's wild. It's wild. It's like the wild west. I'm all for that, because as much as I love them to be able to have that transfer option, every broadcast you listen to now, and he fearlessly went to, like, they list out like 6 schools, it feels like. You're like, wait a minute. Like, you got to go through this bio and that bio, and props to the broadcasters, because, right, it's even more information that you have to know. I do think, for coaches, I can only imagine too, like, just knowing you have them maybe for a year. You have to do everything you can in your power, right, to please this person, because they could be easily gone. I think the plus side though of the transfer rule, we have, especially at HBCUs, I think we've seen like new type of talent go to these schools, which I think has been exciting and a win. But it's just too crazy right now. Like, the fact that you could be at all of these different schools in your short college career, because 4 years really does go pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. I think it's wild. So I do like the 2-year idea. The NCAA has to do something. I think if you keep it as is, again, that's why Saban was like, like, it's wild. So yeah, I think I do like the 2 years, because I don't think you should ever do more than 2. I think it's a little bit more tricky and complicated. Think about it like a relationship. You wouldn't want to keep switch. Well, at least I don't think the average person would like to keep switching, like, every single year. Usually you're trying to get into it to build something. That's so I would like to see at least these players, give the schools a little bit longer of a chance to actually build something, just before making the quick transfer. But I will say that it's kind of fun though. Like now, watching where some of these players are going to land. And of course the ones that have went to the draft, but come on, it's wild. It is wild. The fact that you could just easily switch like this, and all the old timers are like, really, like, they really
right.
Get to do
this. Seems like they need a limit. They need a limit on the transfer.
Something, because right now it's crazy.
Yes. Talking a little bit about coming up, the NFL draft coming up on Thursday. Your thoughts? 2-part question. One, who is the DC Commanders?
It better be Jaden McDaniels. I'm not big on Drake May. I think he is talented, but I really do think Drake May is going to be a prototype of Sam Howell, and DC needs different in that quarterback position.
I said the same thing. Yes.
I'm for Jaden McDaniels, because of course I'm assuming Caleb is going to be off the board.
Which draft pick is going to be one of, like, the, not just diamond in the rough, but one of the best draft picks? What you think?
You mean in general or for Washington?
In general. And I know in Washington you said we know what you're
going with. Needs a quarterback. We need a tackle. We definitely need an offensive tackle. Need a linebacker. I have a list of needs in Washington. I think, in general, I think it's been fun to watch all of these quarterbacks. I'm not as high on these quarterbacks though. Like, I know everyone's talking about this quarterback class, but I do think a lot of these guys are going to have to develop, right? Like, I know CJ, got us all excited about, with what he did in Houston, and that was amazing and phenomenal. But CJ was a stud in college, right? Like, yes. JD McCarthy, I know, has moved up on some draft boards. Like, I'm just not as high. I'm not saying he's not going to be talented, but I think he is going to be one that needs to develop, right? Like, I think the biggest thing nobody kind of wants, and actually, since he just made news, nobody really wants a Zach Wilson project, right? Like, you need somebody that can really go in and get the job done, right? Like, look what happened in Green Bay. So all that to say, I think the quarterbacks have been really interesting. Marvin Harrison, I'm actually really excited about as well. I think the wide receiver position, junior, is always exciting, just because I mean, right now it's a receivers, like, think about it, it's like a receivers league. We all went crazy when the Stephon Diggs news happened, and you just think about how important receivers are here in my area. Baltimore, such a difference with quality wide receivers, around Lamar Jackson. And then I think Marvin already obviously has high expectations just because of his lineage. So to see what he can be able to come in and do, I think it's going to be fun to watch.
Well, looking at what you say about Drake May, and I ain't gonna lie to you, I heard something the other day and it kind of made sense. Drake May to the Giants makes a
Ooh.
lot of sense
I heard that too.
because look what happened with Josh from the Bills, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Look what
Oh, yeah.
happened with him, and look who was that quarterback turning around, Ryan Daboll. So I think that makes perfect
Would be
sense.
interesting.
That'd
Yeah.
be perfect sense if he goes to the Giants because we don't know when Daniel Jones will be back.
Right. And you need some type of security. So that's actually interesting. And like you said, you need a coach that can really hopefully develop a quarterback. And that not every coach can. Not every coach can.
That's
I
right.
think that'll cause a turnaround for the Giants. Looking at your area more than anything else, the sports is popping, but it's sometimes you have your good days, your bad days, and everything else. I'm saying that not just to talk about. Yeah, not trying to talk about your team's bad at all.
You
But
can. Like, the Wizards played like trash this year.
it's
So
a tough.
I can say that.
I know we got it bad down here in New Orleans, but it's the fact y'all got it tough. How y'all can deal with it? Because you do a great job with coverage and you do it so professional, regardless win or lose. How y'all have to deal with it? And I ain't gonna lie, look like the biggest thing that's going is in Baltimore with the Ravens and the Orioles.
Yes, I know. It's like you gotta go across the highway. You gotta leave DC. I mean, the Caps are in the playoffs, of course, which is exciting here in DC. But yeah, the Wizards, it was tough. It was tough, man. Like second to last. Like, oh my gosh, why? Like it's even hard to find honestly a true Wizards fan. Like, I'm not even joking. It's hard to find
Wow.
because it's been after the heydays. We went through heydays here, right? When I was growing up, it was the Antoine Jameson, Cameron Butler, Gilbert Arenas days. It's not been the same. And then of course the John Wall era, and then that ended, and then Bradley Beal era ended, and now I guess you could say it's the Denny Avia era. It's trying to find its way. So all that to say, like it's or Kyle Kuzma, I guess, too, and of course the Jordan Poole experiment. He kind of turns up a little bit towards the end, but didn't really go as planned. So all that to say, like, I will say this is what's made I think growing up in the DC area is what's made my skin thick because my sports teams have broke my heart so many times. Like nobody can do anything to me. I know what hurt and pain is from just living here. But at the same time, it's like I've seen championships though, right? I mean, not from the Wizards, obviously, and the Commanders. Woo! I mean, last time they won was again before I was born, so that's been in a drought, Super Bowl. But the Mystics have won recently, of course, which has been exciting. Nats, Caps. So it's a little hard. We're trying to get back to being the District of Champions, but right now we're failing. But hopefully we get back to see New Orleans. I think is great right now because at least you guys have a team in the playoffs, which is exciting. I know there's questions around the Saints, and again, Saints kind of a new look team. It's interesting, but I still love the vibe of New Orleans and the fans, and I don't know. New Orleans is just such a special place. I
You
think.
have some connection to New Orleans a little bit.
I do. My family. So, New Orleans is always near and dear to my heart. And then, like you all, New Orleans sports media has shown me so much love, which I'm thankful for. Like outside of DC, I'd say New Orleans is probably the next place where I've gotten the most love. And that means a lot to me because, again, when you're growing your career, like, people believing in you and betting on you, it means a lot. And I don't take that for granted. So, and I'm excited for Super Bowl there, of course, next year and to be down there. I'm excited to get to Essence Fest this year. New Orleans is always high on my list, of places to travel. Because again, it's just a special place. And the fans are unmatched. Like you don't meet sports fans. Like, I mean, I was in Last time I came to New Orleans, actually back because I got sick in January. I think you knew this, Michonne. And so I was in the hospital, but all I saw was Drew Brees jerseys in the hospital. I was like, my gosh. I mean, and you guys know this. I'm like, the Saints fandom, is real. When they love hard.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
that's such a special thing. So if I wasn't in DC broadcasting, I honestly would probably be in New Orleans.
I really appreciate that, and keep us in mind for when you come down for the Super Bowl. Hopefully, we can be
Will.
guests
I'm so
on
excited for
on
next
your
year.
show. But at
Yeah,
the same time, as Saints fans, and to be you real with us, we're gonna be real with you. The Saints are officially dead until some changes are being made.
That's like y'all are going through a period like the Wizards are right now.
Yeah,
So
we've gone through.
It's like
We,
this. I told people, Saints fans, that y'all have become spoiled to winning because under Sean Payton, we won, had nothing but winning seasons. Now all of a sudden, y'all not used to losing again like many years ago with the bags, and it's something we got to fight our way out of right now. But I'm with VK. Till they made some coaching changes, starting at the
general
top.
management changes,
yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah, we
It's
got some work
crazy.
to do.
Even
Well, both
we
y'all
even
and Sean Payton are going to be going through some difficult things
yeah,
this season.
Yeah,
because I actually talked with a couple of former Saints and that talk, and they kind of kept it professional, but
Mhm.
on the real, keep not gonna say no sources, but
please don't.
Okay.
they don't like what's going on. They totally don't like it at
Yeah.
all.
It's a
So
new era for the Saints.
Yeah,
yes,
New
yes it
era.
is, yes it is. Yeah, but I'm gonna ask you just one more question and we'll let JB take over. You and I know you're probably I'm gonna take a guess you're in your 30s, right?
Yeah, I'm 31.
31. Okay. I'm starting to ask a lot of these professional guests, a lot of these guests.
Yeah.
All right. Last season, the Miami Heat gets to the NBA Finals as an 8 seed. Now, who is the best 8 seed ever in NBA
oh
history?
man,
Is the Miami Heat of 2023
Last year was
or
so fun
or
watching that.
or the New York Knicks? What year it was? 2008, January?
99,
Huh?
99.
99.
Yeah.
99 New York Knicks
Oh.
or the 2023 Miami Heat?
I love this question. I feel like I'm gonna just have a recency bias, but the Heat. That's why this Heat series has been so depressing to watch because we all got spoiled and so excited last year. And of course, I know Jimmy Butler not into it, but I mean, who wasn't riding with Jimmy Butler in that Heat squad and Bam Adebayo coming up big? So I'm gonna go the Heat. I'm gonna go the Heat squad. I
Oh
mean,
man,
we had heroes. We had heroes emerging. I mean, like last year's squad was special, and that's why I said it's hard to watch now. Gabe, I mean, it was like a dream. I mean, the team that couldn't, right? What's that book that you read when you're a kid, The Train That Couldn't, or something like that? I mean, they did what nobody thought they could do. So it might be recency bias because that Knicks squad was a long time ago, but the Heat, that's why again this year just hurts because we got so they reeled us in last year and then they just broke our hearts.
I'm
This
going
year.
to say this, Kelsey. See,
Are you going
VK is happy that somebody finally is on his
have
side.
more people
With,
said the Knicks?
yes, because they say that because Patrick Ewing didn't play at all in the playoffs or the
Yeah.
finals.
Yeah. And
That's
that's fair.
true.
And that's
But
fair.
but,
That's
but
fair.
some people, but here's the thing that him and my other co-hosts don't understand. They had four number one picks in the
Right.
draft on that one team. You got a team that has various playoff experience comparing to that team the year before, which had what, four people that had playoff experience. Everybody else, and you mentioned Gabe Vincent, who did not have playoff experience at all. Then on top of that, they play a 5-game
Caleb.
series to get
Yeah.
by. And then
Yeah.
on top of that, they had to get in a playing game and play 7 games. So
Yeah.
that's more difficult than a 5-game series
And
that
to
you can
your
get by.
point, like you said, they had unsung heroes. I mean, think about how many
Thank you.
players for the Heat had to step up right in those moments. And I thought that's why it was special. I mean, that
Max Struess. Who on the Knicks? Who on the Knicks? You got more talent on the Knicks than Max Struess. Come on, man. That tells you something. That's
Uh,
why I always say that is the greatest 8 seed ever because you look at how the Milwaukee Bucks played. I'm thinking, no way. I said they were gonna go to the finals.
They were a
And these
favorite.
people,
Yep,
and
they
they
were.
They were.
and they beat them in 5 games. I'm like, what? And they kept it going. So that's the most amazing part because of the fact of the matter is you have more of a challenge with a team. You got a team with a bunch of number one picks in the draft and experience comparing to maybe mid-draft picks and a bunch of nobodies. It's just like LeBron taking the Cavaliers to the finals with nobodies. You got I always respect a team that has got somewhere with less than anything else. That
I
just
just want
showed
to
me
say congratulations
it's a
on
great.
finally having someone with you guys.
No,
That's all I'm going
we're
to
gonna
say.
start doing a poll, audience. We're
Oh,
gonna
now you
start
want to
bringing
see? You
that
want
poll
to?
back.
Oh
I
my
want to
God.
start getting that poll back because I'm
Oh
telling you, I want the people to chime in. But I wanted to ask you that, Kelsey, because that's just been on my mind because these guys
I can
continue
tell
with
it's been
that,
on
you
your
know.
mind.
Kelsey, this is like what we're in the playoffs now, almost a year. Like he does not let this
He's
go.
passionate about it.
He's very, very.
Can't let that go. But
But
Kelsey, I definitely appreciate it. Go ahead,
yes,
my
I'm gonna
man.
say
Go
the same
close it out.
thing. Kelsey, we want to thank you for joining us. We
Thank
truly,
you.
truly appreciate it. And
Thank you all. This was so fun. I so appreciate you all having me on. I am wishing you both the best, and I had a blast. So thanks for giving me some of your Tuesday night.
oh, you're
No
welcome.
problem.
You're
We'll
welcome. It was a
definitely bring
pleasure.
you back.
Thank you so
Most
much, fellas. Have a good one. Bye,
definitely. You too,
guys.
Kelsey. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey.
That was Kelsey Nicole Nelson of Listen with the KNN. And after this quick commercial break, we're going to be back with the host of Inside New Orleans Sports, the one, the only Eric Asher, right here on the Hash It Out Show.
Randolph, head coach of the Hahnville Tigers boys basketball team, and you are watching the Hash It Out Show.
Welcome back to the Hash It Out Show. I am your host, JB the Sports Guy, joined by my good friend that you can catch on CrescentCitySports.com, the one, the only VK Jones. Our next guest, he is the host of Inside New Orleans Sports, the one, the only Eric Asher. Eric, how you doing? And thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. How
You're
you doing,
doing great,
guys?
my friend. You're
Doing
doing great.
good, doing good.
Eric, the Saints have the 14th pick in this year's NFL draft. A lot of people are saying the Saints should go offensive tackle. Do you agree with that? And if so, who should be the Saints' number one pick?
Well, I definitely agree. I think again, when you look at the situation with Penning not working out up to this point, Ramczyk pretty much played on one leg the last couple of years, and of course, after whatever procedure he had in the offseason, not taking, I think at this point, right or left tackle, they're going to have to go in that direction. And lucky for the Saints, offensive tackle is one of the strongest positions in this draft. Again, I don't think they're going to get a chance to get Alt, who again will be the first overall left tackle or tackle to go. But again, there's a kid from Oregon State, the kid from Washington, the kid from Penn State, who I really think they're going to end up with. I think it's Fashionua, and of course J.C. Latham from Alabama. I think if you got a shot with any of those four guys, you got to run to the podium and get it. And then I would not really put out the realm of possibility of maybe going back-to-back tackles in the second round as well. Depending on again who's there. It is a position of depth, so you can get a tackle a little bit later on. That'll again, I guess, maybe based on if they get back in the third and fourth rounds, which I again listening to Mickey Loomis today and reading between the lines, they're going to try to do that.
Correct.
But I think again, tackle is the tackle's the biggest position of need, and they need to use as many assets to do that, including post-draft free agency if they can find one.
I've also heard if a Rome Odunze, a Brian Thomas, if that, or even Brock Bowers, a tight end from Georgia, if they're on the board,
Right.
there's a possibility the Saints may go that way. Do you see that happening? Do you see the Saints skipping over an offensive tackle to the second round?
Anything's possible, right? Okay, again, but I think the need is just so strong for a tackle, and the Saints traditionally going after big men with their first, second round picks. Bauer would be a tough guy to pass up because of again that San Francisco offense. We've seen again how they've utilized the tight end. He's kind of a hybrid tight end. He's going to be a more of a pass catching type guy. Obviously, I love Thomas from LSU. But again, you can get some pretty good receivers in the second round if you wanted to go in the second round. Keenan Coleman's a guy, again, a Louisiana kid, Florida State, that might be available in the second round, which is what they're looking for. Big receiver, possession type receiver, but still got some speed. So, to me, I think it would be a major mistake to go after anything but an offensive tackle in the first round because, you have to protect Derek Carr in order to be effective. But it would be tough if Bowers was in your bullpen at that point. He was up.
The Saints have 7 picks, 4 in the 5th round, 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. You already mentioned about moving up. Do you think the Saints trade any of these picks or any future picks to move back into the 3rd round or try to move into the 2nd round to get a 2nd pick?
Yeah, I do not see them picking 4 5th-round choices. I don't see it. They may not even, pick the 6th or 7th round pick, depending on what's going on. I see them packaging up those picks to move up. And again, I don't discount going into next year's slot of picks to also be able to grab picks to be able to try to get into the strap. They are cash strapped. They're up against the cap. You've seen it what they've done this year in free agency, signing guys to 1-year deals. Obviously, the most inexpensive type of player you're going to get is a player, obviously, that you're going to get in the draft. You can hold those guys for 4 or 5 years on a rookie contract. So my guess is that the Saints will do everything they can to package those 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks to move up into the 3rd, 4th round. If they can get a 2nd round pick, they'll probably have to go into next year's draft.
Before I pass it on to VK, hasn't worked at left tackle, but do you think moving Penning to guard can actually work?
Well, again, I personally don't know, but you have seen them do that in the past with Andres Pete and others, where again, a guy doesn't work out. He doesn't have the footwork to be able to really handle the tackle position. They move him inside where, again, he's a little bit more protected. He's a mauler. He's a physical guy. When you look at Andres Pete, what he was for this team, really kind of the same prototype. Tackle, mauler, pretty good feet that again, can get out, especially, again, on a screen or a swing pass. You see him going downfield. In my mind, the best thing Andres Pete ever did was get out there on a swing or a screen pass, and block. So I can see that for Penning maybe in the future. I wondered if he could move into right tackle. But again, look, in today's NFL, you got dual pass rushers. So you got to be strong on both sides. So if you can't do it on the left, who says you can do it on the right? I know that, again, with the draft capital they put up to get him and Olave, you better make sure that Penning works out. So my guess is they're going to put him on the left side. They're going to give him a shot, depending on who they draft. If not, I can see them trying to move him in to try to salvage the pick.
VK.
Eric Asher, man, appreciate you joining us. Thank you for accepting our invitation and
pleasure.
everything, man. I know you mentioned Andrews Pete. I'm not the biggest fan of Andrews Pete, and there's a reason why. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if Pitt,
you mean Drew Brees getting crushed?
You got it.
Yeah.
Because trust me, I'm like this. I always say to this day, I'm like, I would have did what I can to cut or whatever from Aaron Donald to get to him. I'm saying I played offensive line in high school, and I take pride to that. And I'm like this: you do whatever you can to protect your quarterback, and that's just was no excuse for what he did. But regardless, I think Penning, hopefully he can, if he moves the guard, hope he can be a better guard than Pete. But you do make a good point, Pete. made some nice blocks on the screens. I'm gonna definitely say that and agree with you on
Yeah,
that.
on the screen, but not a great pass blocker. And look, I think everybody was surprised this year how well he played at the tackle position. And it thought maybe the Saints might want to try to re-sign him. The problem was they didn't get it done early. If you heard Loomis today, he didn't want to talk about Pete. Look, they had to eat $13 million in dead money with Pete. They could have got something done with him before he left to go into free agency and maybe again alleviated some of that dead money. They didn't do it. They let him walk. So again, now you're going to bring him in and compound the mistake. I don't know. He's probably the tackle of last resort for them at this point.
I can definitely agree. You've been in the business for a while. You've been growing and growing with your TV show, also with your radio show. Now the transition that the show is now on the new ticket 106.1 station. What are your thoughts that now your show is now on the ticket and the ticket making that transition to be the brand new sports radio station in New Orleans?
Well, we're excited about it. Again, Fox Sports Radio. We're an affiliate of Fox Sports Radio. Dan Patrick, obviously Rich Eisen's on our station as well. Again, I think the Fox Sports Radio lineup, that national lineup, is one of the best lineups, if not the best lineup out there. Ken Trahan has been doing it for a long time in this city. Again, concentrating on high school sports, but he's done everything from play-by-play to, again, announcing to, again, doing a great job, obviously covering the Saints, Pelicans, basketball, football, whatever it is. And, of course, again, I've been doing it for 21 years now, 21 on radio, 11 on TV, and we're excited about the transition to an all-sports station. We had split that between music and sports for a while. Ken Trahan and Pat Galloway and Jason Ginty have been working on this for a while. Took a while for it to come to fruition. It's happened now, and of course, now New Orleans has a new 24-hour sports station, and of course, we will continue to grow this model, as we go forward. But it's an exciting situation. This is actually the third time I've been on a sports radio station that actually said Fox. We've been an affiliate of Fox Sports Radio, and I think they're one of the more cutting edge type sports national networks out there.
Very much agreed, and hopefully down the line, the Hash It Out show might make his way. We'll see down the line. That's one of our goals, But but we seeing a lot of work, and Ken is a mentor to me for a long, long time, and I always appreciate him, and I'm very proud that this thing finally came to fruition for y'all guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Locals huge. Again, whether whatever you're doing local, you're doing it on podcast, you're doing it you're doing local radio, TV. Local is where it's at. Okay, and that puts the eyes and ears on you. And I'm sure, again, from what I understand, this station will grow and eventually we'll do more local as we go forward.
Do you think that's a great sign for this city of New Orleans? Because we've been seeing over the years and everything that we know that the local stuff, especially music wise, even talk wise, was the thing. But then all of a sudden it started going away for a while with a lot of syndication. But it seems like there's a lot of people want to try to bring it back and understanding the flavors more of the local folks who does shows for the stations.
The biggest issue in my 21 years on the air in New Orleans on a daily basis is when it comes to sports radio, sports talk radio in this town, the lack of patience. You've got to allow it to grow. You've got to allow it to plant seeds. And again, whether it be general managers, whether it be program directors, stations, they haven't had the patience to allow that to be able to grow. And if we can, again, in this case, it looks as though, again, Cumulus, Pat Galloway, Ken Trahan, and the crew over at 106.1 FM, again, are willing to be able to allow this thing to grow. And that's what you need. I mean, again, the longer you're there, the more great content you're putting out to the folks. As you guys know what you're doing with your show, folks are going to find you. But again, you need some longevity. You need some staying power. And hopefully, again, that'll happen. That'll continue to happen here with this station. Because, again, it's much needed in this city. When you're talking about a city with two professional teams, and again, you should be in a situation where you have more local sports talk than we have on the airways right now.
Very much agree. That's awesome. Gotta ask about the draft a little bit. You're giving a lot of breakdown here with the Saints. Let's talk a little bit about the draft overall period. What draft pick do you think that's going to be really huge and make a huge impact in the NFL.
Well, I mean, again, obviously, there's going to be a run on quarterbacks early. We know that. And there'll be a big question, again, of how many go in the first round and who's going to reach for quarterbacks. I mean, we just saw it again. You saw Zach Wilson, again, being basically given away to the Denver Broncos for a swap of late-round picks. The problem with, again, the NFL is if you don't have a quarterback, you're looking for one. So, again, there'll be a lot of teams that will, take a chance on a quarterback, maybe a little bit higher than maybe they should go. I think, again, when you look at the meat of this draft, again, the draft is going to be offensive tackles and wide receivers. That's the meat of this draft. That's where you have top end talent, but also quality depth into the later rounds. I think you'll see quarterbacks probably go 1, 2, 3. Okay, with again, Daniels probably going second to New England. Williams obviously going first to the Bears, and then of course. At that point, it looks like Drake May, probably to the Redskins. I could see some teams trying to move up into that spot, into that second or third spot, to be able to try to maybe wrestle one of those quarterbacks away. But the good thing for New Orleans is this time around is that the meat of this draft, the strength of this draft, are positions where the Saints really need help. And that is, again, offensive tackle, wide receiver. There's some pretty good defensive tackles in this draft as well. Those I think are the priorities for this team, and luckily for them, even though they don't have a lot of picks right now, the meat of the draft is their positions of need, and I think they will be very, very active. But again, I think the draft is going to go as far as how many quarterbacks go in the first round, and I think we can see as many as 5.
And I don't know if you're familiar with Kelsey Nicole Nelson. We had her on earlier, and she mentioned about Jaden Daniels to the Redskins. Do you think that's a possibility? Because I tell you, I think that's what she likes, but we'll see what happens. But
right.
That's an interesting name. He could go to the Redskins or he could go to New England. But a lot of people are really feeling him, and especially a couple of ESPN analysts, they really love his progress and how he has made his growth so much that he could really make an impact.
Well, let me say this. We've got 2 entities now, longtime franchises that are again really kind of rebranding themselves. You had Belichick for so many years in New England calling the shots there. He's gone. He's no longer calling the shots. You have a brand new ownership group in Washington. They obviously want to make, again, a splash here, okay? They want to show the Redskin fans that, again, it's a new Washington Commander team. And then also, again, remember, they're trying to get a new stadium. They want a stadium, again, in either Maryland, Washington, D.C. Again, so they're looking at 3 different sites. So, again, you want to when you're bringing in a new era, you want to do that with a bang. You asking me what I would do? Jaden Daniels, to me, I know Caleb Williams is the Heisman Trophy winner, and maybe he'll have a great career. But Jalen Williams is what he did at LSU in 2 years, how he got better, his accuracy, how he got better, his ability to be able again to survey the field, his athleticism off the charts. Again, his speed when he starts to run, kicking in another gear. Is unlike what we've seen again, maybe since Lamar Jackson coming into the league. When you talk about, again, an athletic quarterback. If it was me, and maybe I'm biased because he went to LSU, I like him over Drake May. Okay, but again, the unknown is what is New England thinking now under this new regime, and what is Washington thinking now on this regime? And is Washington, if they really want Daniels, are they willing to maybe move up a pick and give up extra picks to be able to get the quarterback they truly want? I think when it's all said and done, he's going to be a star in this league.
Well, I'm going to ask you this. When you're mentioning Drake May and everything else, and I kind of put that in the air in the last interview, I'm going to put it in the air with you. Drake May to the New York Giants.
Well, once again, they're looking for a quarterback, right? So again, we're not out the realm of possibility that they would do that. And look, obviously the Daniel Jones situation has failed for them, and they're in a situation now where maybe that old guy might come back and quarterback the New York Jets next year, and they'll be dealing with that in that New York market. So it would not surprise me if they went quarterback first round.
Absolutely. Gotta ask you this. We know that the Saints gotta get what they need and everything else. And I know I'm not sure. I don't think Jerry is not sure about David Carr. We're not too fond of David Carr. When
Me, Derek
do the
Carr?
Saints, Derek Carr? Hey, that's right. I'm sorry, but Derek Carr. When do the Saints try to make a move? And this should have been made years ago to try to get their true future quarterback that can try to build this Saints team from the ground up to get there and be in a similar situation. Because I said this last time on the podcast, looking at what the Houston Texans are doing. Gail Benson, please take notes.
Yeah, well, they got all their eggs in Derek Carr's basket now. They're going to live and die with it. They gave him the big money. They restructured his deal this year. Well, they could have gotten out the deal after next year, right? They need some dead money, but they could have got out the deal. They didn't do that. They restructured to open up some cap room, which is again what they had planned on doing all along. So they're in. They're all in. At least during the Dennis Allen era, right? Okay, how long that's going to be? This year, next year. The problem with Derek Carr is you need an offensive line. Derek Carr's not an effective quarterback unless he can stand in that pocket untouched. So that's why the priority has to be building an offensive line. And then maybe, again, look, he's a middle-of-the-road quarterback. You know who he is, okay? I mean, after all the years he's been in the league, he is who he is. He's a 10-year vet. He is who he is. So I don't think there's any inclination or move toward, again, going away from Derek Carr as long as the Allen regime is in place. This is Mickey Loomis is on the line for this. Obviously, Dennis Allen's on the line for this. And I don't think they want to bring in anybody that's going to be real big competition that the fans are going to be screaming for. We want the backup.
Right.
Okay. Who are they bringing this year? Mond, Peterman. I mean, none of these guys, these are camp arms at best. None of these guys are. If you got to go with either one of those guys in an NFL regular season game, you're in trouble. So I don't think they're looking for competition. I think they're hoping they can prop up that offensive line. And he can play like he did maybe in the last few games of the season last year.
Oh, it looked like the Saints got to really keep him healthy because that's trouble when they signed. Bomani Jones said it in best himself, the Peterman. So,
right. I mean, look, Mon knows the system. Mon is an ex-A&M guy. Obviously, he knows the system. Peterman obviously was with Jananico in Chicago. He understands. That's why they brought these guys in. And if you look at the theme of the offseason, with the exception of, again, Gay and Young, right? But especially on the offensive side, bringing in guys that know the system. Cedric Wilson, okay? You go right down the line of guys they've signed. So, and they signed them to 1-year deal, so there's not a lot of commitment. Of course, I think Wilson has a 2-year deal.
That's going to be interesting in itself to see what happens going forward. Since we have you, you know what I'm saying, let's talk a little bit about the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yes.
The Pelicans down 1-0, a great ball game against OKC. What was your thoughts of game number 1, and what does the Pelicans have to do to bounce back and hopefully can make this a series and tie it at 1?
Well, first of all, again, I was pleasantly surprised again with the effort and the energy and at times the physicality that they played with the other night. They're not the most physical team in the NBA. Obviously, again, missing Zion really hurt them. If Dort is on Zion, Brandon Ingram is probably again lighting up the scoreboard. Again, frustrated a little bit with CJ McCollum right now. Again, 22 shots. All the dribbling at the end instead of, you've got Trey Murphy sitting right to your right, wide open for the 3. And of course, you're trying to make a move instead of kicking it. Because again, if Trey don't have the shot, he could have kicked it right back to you and you still had time to be able to get another shot off. But again, too much. The lack of a point guard and a veteran point guard on this team is why they are where they are today. You look at 0-24. And again, in games, again, the clutch games, 1-8 in clutch time. and you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you look at the difference between that team and this team, and look, if you just take half of those 24 games that they lost, right? Okay, where they were down in the fourth quarter, couldn't come back. If they win half of those, they're in first place in the West. Okay, this team has a flaw in terms of their lineup, and I'm talking overall. The lack of an athletic big and the lack of a point guard. And you knew it coming into the season, and you didn't do anything about it. You knew going into the trading deadline, and you didn't do anything about it. Now, again, when you get into the half-court, physical playoff basketball, it's very difficult to be able to operate, especially in crunch time, without a true point guard. And again, it's reared its ugly head the other night. I'd like to see more Valanciunas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a dominant player, especially against Oklahoma City. 20 rebounds. Didn't see the game in the last 4 minutes of the game. Trey Murphy needs more touches. Okay. He's a guy that right now, especially without Zion, he's got to be able to get the touches. And Brandon Ingram's got to be a more physical player. He cannot allow Dort to push him all over the court. I think that based on what they did in the first game, they got to feel really good about themselves, the way they played in Oklahoma City in that rowdy atmosphere. But they didn't close. That's been the MO all season long. He had 4 shots at the rim at the end, and you couldn't put a basket, you couldn't put it down. So I feel pretty good about this team going into game 2, depending on what the adjustment is going to be. Hopefully, again, a little more Murphy, a little more Valanciunas, less dribbling, more ball movement. Okay, a more player movement instead of standing around watching. And they got some good news today from Zion saying that again, he maybe will be available for the playoffs down the line, and maybe we're looking at maybe game 4 on Monday, maybe, right? But if you could steal one in Oklahoma City, you're going to really be looking good in this series because they played a mano on Sunday.
I'll say this because I've told VK this and many others since the trade for McCollum happened that this team is missing a true point guard, and they have never addressed it now in 3 years. I'll ask you this: what are your thoughts if the Pelicans bring Chris Paul back for 1 year next season, and they draft a point guard that Chris Paul can mentor just for that one season? Because I think it'd be something special.
I've been pushing for Chris Paul for the last few years. The problem is the money he makes. Okay, I mean that's again, Golden State was the highest payroll in the NBA this year, and again bringing on Chris Paul with obviously they're other veterans. I would love to see Chris Paul come here and finish his career. He's exactly what this team needs. They need again a Chris Paul, Rajon Rondo type guard that can be, again, a court general for them, that can teach them how to win in the playoffs. And again, do what they've done. Look, they got some mentors on this team. Larry Nance is a great mentor. Valanciunas. They got some veterans out there, okay? They've done that. They had Temple last year. He would be the perfect fit for this team. Look, he's not the same guy he was by any stretch, but he is a guy that when it's crunch time and you need to get your offense going, he can get you going. And this offense is stagnant because they don't have a Chris Paul type to be, that general on the floor.
We're on the same page, Eric. I've been said that for the longest. CJ McCollum, and some people keep blame. Now, sometimes there's some things, but at the same time, you cannot put all the blame on him because he's out of position. He's been out of position since
he is. You can't ask him to be a point guard.
So,
he's an off guard. He's a shooting guard, and you're asking him to handle the ball in crunch time against, again, good defenders, right? And again, that are used to playing against point guards. So, I mean, I guess I was frustrated with the dribbling the other night, but again, at the same time, they put him in this position. They didn't go out and do what they needed to do. And that's my frustration with the Pelicans. Look, I'm not telling Mrs. Benson how to spend her money. That's her money. But at the end of the day, if you look and you see, again, that how you win an NBA championship, you have to be willing to go over the luxury tax threshold.
Yes,
they're not willing to do it this year. They said they want to see what they had in their team because of all the problems they had with keeping guys on the court healthy. By the trading deadline, you knew what you had and you knew what your deficiency were, and you didn't go out and solve them. That's on David Griffin, and that's on, again, upper management and ownership for not willing to spend the money. You willing to look? They sold They sold the future out to try to win another Super Bowl with Drew Brees, and they're still paying for
Yeah.
it today in terms of the salary cap. Okay, which is unforgiving in the NFL. In the NBA, it is forgiving, and you have an opportunity to be able to go out and to be able to go over the luxury tax threshold and spend more money and not get penalized for it. Except again, you got to pay the non-taxpayer. The Pelicans seem to be more comfortable being non-taxpayers than taxpayers.
I said this to Jared. I'm like, I love Chris Paul. I would love to bring him in, but here's the one person I wanted better than Chris Paul and has championship experience. They missed the boat on Fred VanVleet, and I'm mad at that because Fred VanVleet's younger and he has playoff and championship experience.
But that's the prototype you're looking for, right? Okay, that's what you're looking for, a guy that's had championship experience or playoff experience that, again, is an OG that's been around for a while, that, again, can settle this young team down the stretch. Because you saw the other night, again, like it's been in crunch time all year long. They can't put it together when the game's on the line.
And that's why the Pelicans are just so up and down and everything. And I think
you're relying on Zion to get baskets for you going one-on-one. Okay, or maybe Brandon go one-on-one. There is no ball movement. There is no offense at the end. It's all one-on-one. I'm gonna take my guy and beat him off the dribble. Again, instead of maybe again moving the ball around, getting a point guard. You saw what Jose Alvarado did in the Laker game, and he's not the guy that you want playing point guard for you. But he came in. He was able to penetrate, open up things, dish. Zion was getting easy baskets. Again, a point guard is the biggest deficiency on this roster right now, or lack thereof.
Yeah, I think I don't really blame you. I blame some of the media to make overhype the Pels at one point, in my opinion, because of the fact that
they play good basketball though. But again, the question needed to be asked, and I asked the question on all my shows. Okay, point forward's working now, but is it going to work when you get into the playoffs? And let's face it, they've been in the playoffs really since the middle of March for the most part, right? Okay, I mean every game has meant everything. The West has been so close.
Exactly.
Okay, and you didn't do what you needed.
My thing was the reason why I say overhyped because of the fact I looked at the games and the teams they beat. I was like, you beat the teams you're supposed to. You ain't beat nobody. That homestand told everything. When they had a losing record, I said to myself, it's still inconsistent. They're not showing that they are a top 4 of all of these teams to be a contender. And I'm like, I'm hoping deep down they give this OKC team a series. But some of these teams, they're not showing me the killer instinct. They're not showing the seriousness. Like Jared, he picked the Sixers over the Knicks. I'm like, there's a reason why the Knicks is a 2. There's a reason. And I'm like, I'm sorry. If a team is not showing that you can close or have killer instinct, I can't trust you. Like George Pepper's picked the Suns. Look what the Timberwolves did to them. I'm like, these teams are about to elevate because some of these guys, like a Anthony Edwards and like a Brunson, they about to show who they are. And this is their time for them to elevate. We still got a long way to go. But when you see it in the regular season and what you see late, it's like, okay, I don't see the killer instinct in some of these teams. Like the Lakers, I feel sorry for them because I think they about to get swept because they did everything they can, but the Nuggets, they just better. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned killer instinct, and I think that is part and parcel with the Pelicans' lack.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And you mentioned Brunson and again guys that at the end of the day can take over a game, can get their own shot, can facilitate for their teammates. And when the game is on the line, who are you going to? Now again, the Pels have those kind of guys, but at the end of the day, Brandon Ingram, Zion. The problem is a lot of that is going to be one-on-one, and yes, they've been able to facilitate as a point forward, but again, I've always asked the question since the beginning of the season: can you do that in a playoff type situation when again it is much more physical, it's much more half court, and I think it's been proven out right now so far that hasn't happened.
Gotta ask you a fun question, and I'm gonna let Jared close it out after this one. I gotta do this, Jared. I'm sorry,
man.
I'm sorry.
God.
We're gonna start doing a polls on this,
You
but
want to poll so bad, but go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I gotta prove this point. What is the greatest 8 seed in the NBA playoff history have you seen, Eric? Last year's Miami Heat or the
1999.
1999 New York Knicks?
Now, the 1999 New York Knicks were pretty good. Pretty good. I might have to go with the 1999 New York Knicks.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
Yeah.
You know, it was a lot more difficulty for the Heat, but I get it. I get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I know. I understand Heat all the way to the championship. I got it. Coming from an 8 seed, you know, but 1999 basketball and 2024 basketball, two different games. Two different games. Much more physical game. You could put your hand on a player, hand check. Total different game than what we're seeing right now. Total different.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm old school. I got more respect for the 1999 than I do 2024 because of the physicality of the game back then.
I get it. I definitely get it. I get it. And I think a lot of people would say that. I'm just sticking to my guns because it was just the difficult.
Yeah. Well, look, it was a great run for the Heat. But I'm saying that the eras are so different in terms of the physicality of the game, what you could get away with, what you couldn't. And I'm not trying to down the players of today because there's some great players today, but it's a different game. And I wonder again how those games translate in a more physical NBA of the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s.
Very good point, and how the game has changed over the years, and you're absolutely right on that one. I'm still gonna stick with the
perimeter game now. 3-point shooting.
Exactly. It you know, and a lot of times you can't really be physical anymore, and it's kind of crazy because it's like ain't nothing wrong being let them be a little physical. It ain't nothing wrong with it, but now it's like they're really outlawing this.
Look at the playoffs. People gravitate to the playoffs. That's because the playoffs, you're seeing physical basketball. So you play one way all season long, and then you get to the playoffs, and now you're telling everybody, okay, we're going to turn the spigot on now. Now be physical. Some teams have the ability to do that. Some teams don't have it in their DNA. Unfortunately, I don't know if the team that's domiciled in New Orleans, Louisiana, has that in their DNA.
Right.
Physicality.
You see what happened with the Knicks. You see what happened with the Knicks and Sixers the last couple. You ought to feel better because that was the closest thing to the old school basketball you'll ever see in the last couple seconds.
Right.
So,
I mean, Eastern Conference basketball used to be like that all the time.
Right.
That was Eastern Conference basketball. Physicality.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Eric Asher, thank you for joining us on the show tonight. We truly appreciate it. Definitely going to have you on again. But thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks again for the invite, and best of luck to both of you guys going forward with your show.
Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Thank you.
That is Eric Asher, the host of Inside New Orleans Sports that you can catch on WLAE. You also catch his radio show on 106.1 The Ticket. So, VK, we got a lot of info about the draft from Eric Asher. Do you agree with him that the Saints should go left or right offensive tackle?
Well, the Saints got to get what they need. You know, they got to get what they need and listening to some of the information and some very informative information, especially about the salaries and also with Derek Carr's deal, that they're definitely not going to go with a quarterback of the future. And I hate to say that because I want that quarterback of the future now, but I don't think that's going to happen maybe about 2-3 years down the line. At least, I'm going to say at least 2. I'm going to keep the faith on it because we know how bad it is. But I get what Eric is coming from. They do have to build from the line. They do have to build and have a better line more than anything else to get some kind of protection for Carr and have a good running game more than anything else. So I get it if they go tackle, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go wide receiver first. That'd not be a surprise either to have some kind of a weapon. And if Adunze is in that is up early, whatever, I wouldn't be surprised. Where they at the first pick? The Saints there
14.
What? They're 14. Now, if Adunze is gone, who else you get? If Brian Thomas, maybe they'll get it.
Brian
They'll
Thomas.
probably get Thomas, or they might trade up and get a Dunze. If they get a Dunze, that's good because you need some kind of a weapon. You do. And I think they got a St. Brown, I believe, right? In free agency. I don't know if that's true or not.
Equinius. They got Equinius or Equinius. I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but they got that one. They don't have Amon. Amon is doing his thing in Detroit.
Okay,
But
okay.
I think
Maybe he was signed. Okay.
Equinius was brought in to help motivate A.T. Perry.
A.T.
Equinius might
Perry.
not make that final roster, but I think they bring in other players just to motivate another player. Oh man, I got this guy here. I got to step my game up to make this team to stay on the team. And I think that's the issue with A.T. Perry. That's what I think. But
Mhm.
we shall
I
see.
agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But we're gonna see what happens on Thursday, and is it gonna be where it's supposed to be, or is it gonna be
I
all over the
just
place?
I just after the first three picks, it can go even before if teams trying to move up, get to that second pick or that third pick, it can go crazy.
Mhm.
Back to the Saints, man. Yes, your number one need is the tackle position. Ryan Ramczyk hurt. We don't know how much longer he can play. Penning hasn't worked out at left tackle. So yes, that is the number one need. But man, I'm just sitting here like I get to this 14th pick, and Brock Bowers is on the board still. Roma Dunze, they're still on the board. Do I really want to pass that up? Because the second round, I can still get an offensive tackle. Whoa, man, that would me as a GM, that would be hard to do, man. Because that is another playmaker you could have. It just would be hard, man. But
It's gonna be way too hard. So
the
much.
good thing about it is this draft is deep at offensive tackle and wide receiver. So like Eric Ashford said, Keon Coleman will be available in the second round. You may be able to get him. A lot
It,
of
it
wide receivers. Xavier
right.
Leggett from South Carolina is going to be there. So
It's good
we'll see what
options,
happens.
especially Coleman is a real good option out of Florida State. His height and his speed,
Yeah,
and also him coming home to the state.
yeah.
That'll be really, really big for the Saints to get him. Finally get a hometown kid that come down here and get drafted. So that'll be really good for the Saints to get. We just hope that the Saints make the right picks, and I hope the draft picks work out for them going forward because the future it's not too bright. It's almost like we got to bite the bullet for a season because I really think this is going to be the last year for Dennis Allen, in my opinion. I
5 and
think this
12.
is him,
5 and 12.
him and Mickey. It's about to go down if nothing happens. It's about to be over. But
5
we'll see what
and
happens.
12.
5 and 12.
Um,
But I think we got to bring on Kelsey the next time, at least before the WNBA about to start. We need to bring her back because the one
it's,
question I
it's,
wanted to
it's
ask her,
starting very soon.
yeah, we
Right?
got to
Right
find
around the
out.
corner.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have her back in a couple weeks or whatever because we gotta find out, like, we need to ask her a little bit more about how these teams are gonna because I wanted to ask her a lot on the draft picks, especially a couple of these teams like the Sky
Right?
and the
You had your
Storm. And
chance. You asked about other stuff. You had your chance.
I know, I know,
I
I
asked
know,
about women's sports because I know she know a lot
but
about it. I went
but I,
straight to it.
she's an all around sports person, so
Yes, she
I had to
is.
ask her that. But I know we gotta have her back, but at least before the season, a little bit when the season starts because you looked at the draft picks, bro. I mean, bro, I think the Chicago Sky is going to be a problem. I think the Storm is going to do well. The Las Vegas Aces with Las Vegas Aces is going to be a big problem. They trying to be the Comets. To be honest, you look at those draft picks, my God, bro. After what they have, and also Candace Park already signed to come back next year, and you win without her with the team you got.
But they don't need her.
No, but
They don't
that's what
need
I'm saying. But the thing what I'm saying is they won it without her. You got to be you have to be amazed with the younger players outside of Kelsey Plum and also oh God
her. I was
dog is
amazed.
he
I was amazed
I'm
with them.
getting old.
I was amazed
Huh?
I was amazed with them the year before when they won. and no one
Oh,
is going to be
Asia.
good this year. It's going to be them
Of
in New York
course.
again in the championship.
You got Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and the point guard that does well. But then you got them other young players that step in there last year. That's the scary part. And now you add these strong rookies that you drafted. It's like, oh Lord, they're trying to be like the comments up here, dude. This is
They're trying to be better
this is
than the
gonna be
comments.
crazy,
Trying to
huh?
be better than the comments. Trying to be better than the comments. Who got four?
That's
The
tough, bro.
Minnesota Lynx who had four. That Minnesota
Yeah.
Lynx team probably could have beat that Comets team. Oh, you saying
No,
the last
no,
two?
no,
Sylvia Fowles,
no,
Simone Augustus, Maya Moore,
dude,
um,
dude. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you
what's her
something
girl
right now.
name?
Let me tell you,
Lizzie. Can't think of the point guard.
Whalen,
Lizzie Whalen, and I'm forgetting my other girl name.
man,
You think they could beat the
man.
Comets?
Let me tell you
You
something.
think they?
Let me tell you something.
Man,
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Tina Thompson,
uh-huh.
Cynthia Cooper.
Okay.
What you got? Janet Arcane. You got that other point guard that came from the other guard that came from ULL that was totally killing it as well. Um, bruh, they and
I'm gonna say you don't name
Cheryl
Swoops, bro.
Swoops, bruh, that would be a great matchup. I cannot. It would be a great matchup, but I cannot say that the Lynx would beat the Comets.
Ooh.
I ain't gonna lie. Now I ain't gonna lie. Now the Las Vegas Aces, what they got now? Oh yeah, they can beat the Comets. I can definitely say that. I don't know about the Lynx. The Lynx, great run. They had a great run, great teams. I don't think they beat the Comets, but I think these Aces team could, because that's what they got is ridiculous, and they're adding more to the tank. I'm like, oh Lord, we got
Hard to
another
beat those
dynasty.
aces. It's gonna be
We
hard.
got another dynasty. Goodness gracious.
Oh
Got the
yeah. What they win
whew,
again? There it is. Pretty
can't
much
wait.
your third dynasty, pretty much. I don't think
Exactly.
Seattle. I think Phoenix won. How many? Two. I think
I think
Seattle
Phoenix
won
won
two.
2. Seattle won, I think, 3.
Maybe three.
I think Seattle
Okay.
won 3. Phoenix won 2. 1 or 2. Because I know they won one under the coach that was coach who coached Hank Gathers at Loyola Marymount.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted that one. I think they wanted another. They got 2.
Tamika. I want
They
to say
got
two
2.
because Tamika was
Yeah,
on
2
the
got
team with
one.
the first
Yes.
one. Tamika
Yes.
Johnson.
Mhm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a show tomorrow, and we're gonna let VK announce who are our guests tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Definitely appreciate it. And I want to first apologize before I go forward. Hope things are forgiven and all that stuff because had a little difficulty, but I'm glad we got these 2 guests to join us. And we'll start off with some sports talk tomorrow at 7:30. But 8:15, we will have the head coach of the Archbishop Rummel Raiders, Frank Kazoo. He will join us on the show to talk about his Raiders in their matchup coming up this week in their series. And also around 8:45, 8:50, we're going to have the St. Augustine Purple Knights baseball head coach, Barrett Ray, joining us on the show. The Purple Knights will take on John Curtis coming up Thursday in Harahan. That's going to be an interesting matchup in itself. The Purple Knights have been overcoming a lot of things and having a very nice season, very talented team, and they took advantage of East Jeff team, and I hate to say it, from a district that wasn't really too strong, but Purple Knights impressive, outscoring East Jeff 34 to nothing. So we will talk. Yes, St. Aug beat East Jeff 14 nothing in game 1, 20 to nothing game 2 to sweep the series. You didn't hear about that, right?
No,
I put
I
it on the
saw they
message.
won, but I didn't look at the score. I was like,
I put it in the
props to St.
message board,
All
man.
because they played a tough schedule to end the playoffs, and now they got a first round win. I didn't look at the score, but gosh,
Yes, I thought the games. I thought game 1 might be a close one. I was like, let's see what East Jeff got. When I seen the score, I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, how worse can it get? Then when I seen game 2, I was like, wow. I'm like, John Curtis better hold on to their hats. That's gonna be an interesting. It ain't gonna be no. And even Jeff Curtis said it on the
Oh
show.
yeah, he said it.
He know how good St. Aug is, and he
Yes.
know that is not going to be an easy series. Wouldn't be surprised that go 3 games because the Purple Knights are going to try and set the tone on Thursday night. So we're going to have Barrett Ray, the head coach of the Purple Knights, joining us on the show Thursday night with Frank Kazoo. It should be an interesting show.
Most definitely. So yes, we are giving you guys local high school baseball here in Louisiana. Possibility we might have another coach in the state up there in the northeastern part of the state joining us next week. Maybe we'll see. We ain't gonna say no names yet. I don't want to be, the bearer of
Well,
bad news if he doesn't come on the show, but we'll
well,
see.
well, if he doesn't come on next week, come on the week after because next week is Region 23 week
That's what I meant.
on our
You're right.
show.
You're right. 2
Yeah,
weeks. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it'll be Region 23 week. That Monday, that Tuesday, we will have a not just one of the coaches, but also a high school coach that'll be joining us. That's actually related to that
But
coach.
that's the guy I'm talking about.
Oh, that's who you're talking about. Oh, my
Yeah,
bad.
man. That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
Him.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Tuesday night. Yes,
All
we'll
right.
have him on Tuesday night.
Yeah,
I thought you was talking about another coach, but
no, that's what we're talking
yeah,
about.
got
Yeah,
it, got it.
yeah. Ain't gonna
Next,
say no
like,
names, so I put it on the
yeah,
graphic.
we gonna make we making a quick announcement right quick. Next week is Region 23 week on our show on Tuesday and Wednesday. Myself and George Peppers will be making a trek to Chalmette on Tuesday morning to record the Nunez Pelicans podcast, and they're gonna try and put that thing out. Hopefully, put it together and put it out on Wednesday.
Cool.
Me and George is going to be the guests on there, and we're going to discuss the Nunez season, but not just that, to promote the Region 23 baseball tournament. On Tuesday, we'll have one of our guests. We'll tell you more of who the guest is tomorrow. We'll have 2 guests on Tuesday and 2 guests, maybe 3 on Wednesday, because we're gonna try to have a couple of the guys from the podcast to join us on here to give them some shine, but most importantly to promote the Region 23 tournament, which will be next Thursday, May the 2nd at Kirsch Rooney Stadium on Delgado's campus near City Park. It should be a great one. I got one more series on this weekend, Friday and Saturday, with Nunez BRCC. That's going to be interesting in itself in Chalmette. But next week will be Region 23 week on the Hash It Out show to promote the 2024 Region 23 baseball tournament.
Most definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, this show has come to an end. I want to thank everybody watching on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I went check out the Instagram part to see how it looked. Praise God.
Oh, we on Instagram?
Yeah. Praise
Hey!
God, boy. Came
Hey,
out looking good. Yes.
Instagram
Yes.
audience, man.
Yes.
Look, man. We this is just the beginning, man. We here finally, and I'm
Yep.
very happy about that. And we
Yeah.
gonna be on here every week. So we got an extension now, baby. We got an
Yes.
extension now. I see it, man. I'm
You
real
see it,
happy.
huh?
Real happy now, man. We
Yeah.
everywhere. So Instagram fans the people who don't have Facebook and Twitter, we're live on Instagram now. So you cannot miss us. So
No, can't at all. So and also spring football starting soon. So we're gonna be out there at the spring football games. Destrehan, Edna Carr, Shaw, Everett. They got a lot. We're gonna be out there. So get ready. We about to turn this thing up to another level, going into our 3rd year very soon. So, but other than that, we're back here tomorrow at 7:30 with our 2 coaches. Make sure you all tune in. We appreciate everybody that's tuning in. Go ahead and join our pages, the Twitter page at the Real VK Jones and JB the Sports Guy, the Hash It Out Show on Instagram and on YouTube. We have JB the Sports Guy and the Real VK Jones. Join those pages, and also on Facebook, we do have the Hash It Out Show on Facebook. So, any last words, Mr. VK, before we go?
good show tonight and everything, man. We'd like to thank Eric Asher and also Kelsey Nicole Nelson. We
Yes.
appreciate them joining us. Great analysis, great stories. This has been a real fun night tonight, and we got good things going forward, and we're gonna continue to push to get this Hash It Out show to another level. But we getting there, man, and we getting our audience. So we appreciate everybody continuing to join us and continue to support us as we continue to go forward.
Everybody watching, share it on your Twitter page. Those on Twitter, share it so everybody else can see. Definitely. Oh man, high school football can be here before we know it, bro.
Well, where the direction going in my life, man, it looked like we're gonna be probably pushing things forward with season 2. So
Season 2, baby.
we,
That's
we
what I
got
was too.
we got it.
Yes.
We got to do some meetings. So we got to get
Yeah,
prepared
got
for
to
that.
get it going soon. Yes,
Yep.
definitely.
Yes, sir.
Definitely. For the one and only VK Jones, I'm JB the Sports Guy. We'll see you here tomorrow at 7:30, right here on the Hash It Out Show. Till then, y'all take care.
My name is Micah Higgins, head boys basketball coach at Bonneville High, and you're watching the Hash It Out Show. Go Bruins!
Go Bruins.
You're watching the Hash It Out Show!
Thank you for watching the Hash